So what we just briefly talked about, I'll talk to you guys a little bit about the history of the company. Some of this you may or may not know, and why I think it's relevant to you and what you are doing here. I went to NYU in the mid-'80s and was very lucky because when I started at NYU, David Mamet and William H. Macy wanted to teach a new acting technique. So they essentially took 25 of us and we studied with them for 2 years. We were in Vermont in the summertime with them doing a program just like you guys are, and then we were back in New York, and then they were working at the Goodman Theater in Chicago, and NYU at the time let us go out to the Goodman as sort of a semester abroad and study with them in Chicago. And during the time they were teaching us the technique, they encouraged us to create our own work. And at the time, David kept saying, go out and change the American theater, create your own work. Don't wait for the phone to ring. So when we were finishing our time with them, they had incorporated the name the Atlantic Theater Company. And I don't know if this is the case, but if you've read The Fervent Years, one of the names that the group theater was considering was the Atlantic Theater Company, and David was very influenced by the group theater at that time.
Tell them the group theater, if you guys don't know, was a very famous theater in the 1930s that had all of these interesting people like Elia Kazan and Harold Clurman wrote that book. Out of the group theater came all of these various acting techniques that you may or may not have heard about, but you'll want to learn a lot about the group theater if you're going into acting. It's an interesting book.
Put that on your reading list
Yeah.
if you don't have it yet, The Fervent Years. So, so they had incorporated the name the Atlantic Theater Company, and they encouraged us to structure it with a traditional model, an artistic director and a managing director, and then an acting ensemble. So I was elected the first artistic director, and we started producing in the summer of 1985. And we were mentored by David and Bill. We wrote a constitution that basically outlined the rights and responsibilities of ensemble members. And we started producing. And we were kind of nomads. We were in Vermont producing in the summertime, and then we went back to Chicago for a year, and then we didn't like it. It was too cold. And we came back to New York, and we had our first big successful play in 1987. A play called Boy's Life that was produced by Lincoln Center. And after that, shortly after that, we took over the space on 20th Street and have been producing ever since. So that's a very quick history of the company, but the big, I think one of the fundamental principles that they taught us that we've been trying to pass on with every group of students is the idea of creating your own work. And now, whether it's creating your own film or creating your own theater, what we try and do is help you understand what kind of work you'd like to do, and then how to go about becoming skilled and good at that kind of work, whether it's theater or film. And then to encourage you to really trust your own artistic aesthetic and have something to say it loud and clear so that people will come and see it. So that's what we're trying to do in a nutshell here at Atlantic with, continuing on with the school. And that's how the theater started way, way back when. We were all students just like you guys in a hot, sweaty building. We were just in Vermont.
It's hot and sweaty down here.
Yeah.
One of the programs is called the 4-week summer teen ensemble. So we've been talking in that program a lot about the concept of ensemble. And what I've always been impressed with the Atlantic is that it's this group of people who are able to sort of figure out and navigate their differences through the good times and the bad times, and then produce something that they were all proud of. And I thought that was exciting as well.
Yeah, I mean, you guys will see it in a 1-week program or certainly in a 4-week program. I think all of the challenges and hopefully the successes of being in an ensemble, and what we have, grown to know over the years is you need to have like-minded people, but you don't want to be alike. And you don't have to all like each other. You don't have to, ultimately you have to get along, but it's all about being a good ensemble member and making the work, the art, the creation first and foremost, and then being able to trust that everyone feels that way. And you don't have to, again, want to go out and have dinner with them, but you have to trust that they're, what they believe in is what you believe in, and you might go about it differently, but you're all going for the same thing. And I think the differences are actually very crucial to a great ensemble. You don't want everyone to be the same, you know. So you will probably see that in this very short time, you know, and in terms of who do I want to work with, who don't I want to work with, you know, what do I admire about that person, what do I think their, you know, strengths and weaknesses are, and that goes on for years and years and years with an ensemble. We're still, you know, battling with that all the time.
And also the whole concept of creating your own work. I worked as a casting director for many years, and there was nothing more exciting than having an actor walk in the door and tell me about the stuff that they were doing in their own life, that they were making happen, because it gave me a sense of who they were and what they brought to the table, and then I could kind of sell it to my bosses, or I could just really get a sense of them. So.
Yeah, and you will know every actor, you know, worth their salt is creating their own work, including people like, you know, our dear friends and ensemble members, William H. Macy and Felicity Huffman, who you think, well, you know, they're at the top of their game. She's doing Desperate Housewives. How on earth can she be creating her own work? But, you know, she's got independent movies, and she might option a book to create into a play, and, you know, the balls are in the air all the time. And Bill Macy, while he's doing every movie, is writing something, directing something, you know, just everyone's got a lot of stuff going on all the time. And that's really what makes it go.
Yeah, what I would add, so all of you guys are actors. Great, great. Well, in addition to all of the important things that Mary just said, one of the reasons the company was started was to try to be about good acting. And part of the technique that you'll be learning was basically an idea of looking at stories, because ostensibly we're all storytellers, to figure out what your job is as an actor and how to do a good job as an actor. So the people, the founding company members, and David Mamet and William H. Macy created this technique to give young actors and give all actors a good set of skills in terms of how to understand how to pick up either a film script or a play, figure out what the story is, understand what the story is on a very practical level, and understand how you can do your best acting job with the character you're given. And so a lot of what you guys are going to be studying will be very, very helpful in that, because obviously, in addition to creating your own work, you want to be the best actor you can be.